All right. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Mets, what a big clunker tonight. What a big clunker. Doesn't feel good, does not feel good. Literally feels like all the momentum is sucked out of the air. New York Mets having their troubles in Atlanta once again today, losing 5-1. Okay. We're losing 5-1. And, you could look at this in a couple ways. Obviously, 2022 is in recent history. Again, Atlanta was there at the end of the year, stomping on our hopes, stomping on our dreams. The Mets have a chance. Right now, we still have a chance. We lost one game. We didn't come out to play. Right from the very first inning, I'm saying we have to compete every single at bat. First inning, Swellenbach throws 7 pitches in the first inning. Swellenbach throws 7 pitches. And for some reason, we can't hit this guy. There's a couple pitchers in this league. They're not Cy Young Award winners. We just can't hit for the life of us. I wasn't impressed with this lineup. I'll tell you that. I was not impressed with this lineup, but we needed more competitive at-bats this game. We came out with no fight, no energy, no fire. It felt like any ordinary game. The Braves, on the other hand, they were competing every at-bat. They were fighting. They were battling. They were making Severino throw pitchers and whatever. They were making this guy work. And that was the goal. We needed the lineup to stay hot. We needed to make Atlanta pitchers work. We didn't do that. This was an easy game for Atlanta. Easy win. Mets rolled over and died tonight. And I heard the comments by Carlos Mendoza before this game, and they asked Carlos Mendoza, what do you think about the Mets' struggles in the past in Atlanta? And basically, Mendoza kind of laughed and said, this is not the same team. This is a different year. And he goes, I look forward to this challenge in this series. Well, you know what? I don't want you to have egg on your face, but right now we're 0-1. We have Chris Sale going tomorrow. Then we got a hurricane coming in. So I don't know when we're going to play this game 3, but all I know is that we started off on the wrong foot. This is the worst way you could start off on a series. And I just don't want to be overly negative, but this is what I have right now. If I would have seen a well-played game, at least I could have had something to hang my hat on. It's almost like we played the same exact game we played last week against the Nationals in game 1, except the Nationals are terrible. So we could get by and beat a crappy team like that, but we didn't step up our game at all. This is supposed to be the Braves. This was supposed to be our statement. This is when we were going to prove that this year is different than years past. But no, this was the same old Mets. Pete Alonso, where the hell were you today? Where were you? Brandon Nimmo. I know you did great over the weekend getting the fans going, but this is the game that we needed you to produce. Our players, our guys, the lineup did not produce. Iglesias, what do we have? We had 4 hits today. Iglesias had 1 hit. Vientos, only guy who showed up today. And guess what? Vientos was batting 6th. Vientos, even though he's been in a bit of a slump, he's been swinging the bat better. Right off the bat, I was shocked to see that he was batting 6th. But oh well, Carlos Mendoza must know something we all don't, because you have Winker batting in front of him, Marte's batting in the number 3 spot. This lineup, I was looking at, I just don't understand it. You got your hottest hitter batting 9th. You got your second hottest hitter, Alvarez, batting 8th. What the hell were you going to do with this lineup? Right off the bat, I didn't get it. But you know what? You still needed your guys to step up. You still needed Alonso to come play, and it just didn't happen. I don't want to hear, at the end of the day, this team is, and I've been saying this team is special, but these are the moments that this team has to prove. If you don't win this series, the whole year feels like, well, we're lost. And Atlanta is not as good as the Atlanta teams of the past. This is our first challenge. It's only going to get harder from here. It's only going to get harder when you play Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Yamamoto. It's going to get harder. The pressure's going to mount. And this was a pressure-packed scenario. And you can see that it got to us today. It got to us. We were holding the bats a little too tight. And, we made a key defensive error. We let that third inning, it just was a very not well played game. I don't know if we let the day off get to us. It seemed like we were on quite a roll. It just wasn't a good game. We have to turn this around ASAP. I hope to God we play tomorrow. I don't know if the rain is going to come. I hope we play. I got to check out the forecast, but we need to get the taste out of our mouths very quickly. Very quickly, get this turnaround, go 1-1, and then fight for game 3, because this is really got to be changed ASAP. Hey, everybody. Hopefully everybody's doing a little better. Explosive, Richard, Daniel, Will, thank you so much for coming in. I'm very frustrated. Scott, it is, explosive, very good. It's a mental game. It is extremely mental, and it just seems like the Atlanta Braves. Now, the Phillies, if anybody's been watching my videos, I've said that the Phillies are beatable. I've said that the Phillies are overrated. There's so many things. I believe we could beat the Phillies, but the Braves are different. The Braves have that mental hurdle inside our heads. They have the pedigree. They won a couple years ago. It is something about the Braves that the Mets have to overcome. That's why I was hoping this year, if we could, at the end of the year, still, we have an opportunity to take 2 out of 3. If we could somehow manage to take 2 out of 3, we are still golden. Obviously, that clinches our playoff spot. Fortunately, the D-backs, they're getting blown out tonight, but I don't want to get in through the back door. I'd rather get in, knocking off a rival, knocking off a very formidable foe in the Atlanta Braves. That's what I would rather do. Tonight, the bats disappeared. No doubt about it. You can complain about the lineup like I did, but we had our opportunities, and, we didn't capitalize. We did not capitalize. Hey, Will, Brewers are going to kick our ass, and you know what? After a game like this, it feels like a lot of teams can do that. We got to turn it around very quickly, and a weakness was exposed tonight. Here's the thing. This is what teams like the Brewers are going to do. Atlanta knows our weakness. Our weakness is this. For us to be good, for us to dominate a series, our starting pitchers need to give length. If the starting pitchers are knocked out early on, we're virtually screwed. We don't have, our middle to long relief is not our strong suit. Our bullpen is not our strong suit. Yes, we have Edwin Diaz going at the back end of the bullpen, but you could see the Braves had a game plan. Work Severino. Michael Harris looked like Severino was tipping pitches to him. This guy was taking his best hacks I've seen all year. Michael Harris was locked in, but everybody else was battling. Everybody else was making our pitches work, specifically Severino. He didn't have as good of control as normal. They mentioned on the broadcast he wasn't throwing his sinker. He was elevating a fastball a lot. The slider was just outside the zone. It was an easy take for hitters. A lot of things were going wrong today. But at the end of the day, we have to correct it and move on. So, it is just so important for us to get better in one day. Because as was mentioned, it is a mental thing. Explosive, you hit it right on the head. This is a mental hurdle right now with the Atlanta Braves, and you got to give the Braves the credit. You got to give the Braves the proper credit they're due, because this was a big win for them. This was extremely big win, and they've been playing a lot of big games as well. So we've been stepping up the competition. They've been stepping up the competition. We got an opportunity. Let's take advantage of that opportunity. Hopefully tomorrow, Chris Sale isn't on his game, but that's all you could do. Move on to tomorrow. I mean, Harris was completely dominating. I mean, I have notes here. Even the catch that he made in the fifth inning, Acuna. I'm like, I swore that was going to be a base hit. I don't watch the Braves that much, right? So I watch here and there, but I don't get to see Harris play all the time. Like the guy, you look at his numbers. I mean, Harris is a really, really good ball player. And then Ozzie Albies, he recently came back to the lineup. And I always say this. About Ozzie Albies. He is a winning ball player. He's a leader. He's a guy who makes other people better. You know how I say Iglesias has that type of effect on the team? He has that type of effect on the squad. Although he didn't tonight, Ozzie Albies has that same type of impact on the Braves team. So, it's very important for them that they got Ozzie Albies back. But, our guys have to get it going. I would like to see Vientos higher up in the order. Marte, although he's been taking better swings, it's hard to see Marte in the 3-0. It's really hard. It's really hard to see that guy. Imagine telling us Met fans it will come down to Peterson to save our season 6 months ago. It's hard to say. Peterson has been doing a lot better this year. As of late, not so much. But all it takes is one big start. It takes one big game. And we've been having a different hero. Anytime we've hit a wall, we've had another guy step up. So if it's gonna be Peterson, you know what? That's fine. That's what's been happening the entire year. You have the next guy step up. And this is really a game where you could see the absence of Lindor. Today, I felt that the whole day, missing Lindor hurt us tremendously. And then hearing early on how Lindor is possible. First of all, he's saying he's going to have pain the whole year. And he, in his quotes, he's saying that if I come back this year, I'm going to play with pain. So I'm not feeling good hearing the latest Lindor comments. So, I mean, today was just a crummy day, a crummy night. And, man, I'm just hoping it's one night. I'm hoping it's one day. And that the Mets can turn this around tomorrow. And, I got to say, going from the past, we've been able to do that. We've really been able to do it. It's our chance right now. Prove it now. No more time for talk. Prove it now. This team is different. Win tomorrow. Beat Chris Sale. And Chris Sale was a guy that I hope that we would have traded for. But, that's another story. And then, the funny thing is, I don't know who saw the press conference with Nimmo, and they were talking to Nimmo, and they were asking Nimmo like what went wrong. Swellenbach is a guy, he's a nice pitcher. He's not Cy Young. He's a nice pitcher. They asked Nimmo, what is it about this guy that gives you guys so much trouble? And he basically said he's a guy who locates his fastball, and he hits his spots, which you could say what is the reason for any pitcher to succeed. I think it's the Braves factor. I think that, again, mental factor. When you play the Braves, for some reason, we hold the bats too tight, and it's an issue with playing the Braves. Now, here's the thing. The New York Mets they've had a propensity to play better against teams that are more competitive. And they've also been good against pitchers, higher caliber pitchers. Garrett Cole, we've pummeled. There's been a lot of good quality pitchers that we've pummeled this year. Aaron Nola, the last start, we had 6 runs off him. So we've done good against high-quality pitchers. So Chris Sale, although he's a Cy Young Award-winning candidate, it would be the perfect It would be the perfect guy to break out against. And I'm not saying we're going to score 6, 7, 8 runs, but if we can make the guy throw a lot of pitches, have him have a short outing, 5 innings, 3 or 4 runs, that would be a phenomenal victory, a freaking phenomenal victory. And, having some length out of our starters. That is the key. Have some length out of our starters and have the offense make the opposing pitcher work. If that happens, we stand a good shot. If it's going to be like today and they mow through our lineup like nothing, then it's going to be very tough. I mean, the final line on Swellenbach today, he threw 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. I mean, not even a fight tonight. Yeah, well, I don't know. Where the hell is Pete? He'll have 1 or 2 good games a week. 1 or 2 good games a week. And this is supposed to be our cleanup superstar player who, wants $250 million. This is who this guy is. 29 years old. He's not going to, most likely guys on the other end of 30 don't get significantly better. So this is Pete at his peak, a career. This is going into his walk year, or this is his walk year. So this is usually the year where you have their best effort. And it seems like Pete is producing an egg. The more clutch situation, the worse this guy performed. This was the perfect game for a guy like Pete to hit a big home run, to have a big hit, to make a big play. No, it was not meant to be. It was not meant to be. And like I said, only guy who showed up on the offensive end was Mr. Mark Vientos. Got to rely on the rookie. And you know what? Until Lindor comes back, I'm thinking you got to move Acuna up in the lineup. I'm looking for a little more punch up in the lineup. Alvarez, I think you're wasting him at 7-2. I know you want to I know what they're doing. They're trying to spread out the offense up and down the lineup, but we needed in the beginning of the lineup to get us going. You see the Braves, the way they construct their lineup, they have, their talent, their balanced lineup, but they have Michael Harris, Ozzie Albies, Ozuna, Soler, all at the top of the lineup. That's more of a traditional way of doing it. You have your best hitters 1 through 5, but with the Mets, I don't like having everybody so spread out. I really don't. Alonso's, not hot. He's batting 4th. Winker's not hot. He's batting 5th. Marquez hit or miss. He's batting 3rd. Nimmo just had, a couple good games, but I wouldn't consider him red hot. So the only guy essentially is who's been hitting well for a consistent long period of time is Iglesias. One guy in your top 6, Alvarez, who's been getting hot, he's batting 7th and or 8th, and Acuna, who's been hot since he got here, is batting 9th. So I mean, I just, I'm complaining about the same thing, but I just don't understand the logic. All right, I'm gonna get to some of your comments right now because I'm very frustrated. Everything got screwed up when Alvarez got in the way of Severino, and it opened up the floodgates. I mean, against a normal team, that's something that should have been overcome. But with the Braves, we have to be really on our toes. We have to be playing. We have to really be playing well, and we can't give him any extra opportunities. So I could see that. But Severino just didn't have it today. He really didn't have it. He wasn't locating his pitches. His slider was always outside the strike zone. He was elevating his pitches. It just really looked like it. Honestly, I wrote down in the 3rd inning, looks like Severino is tipping pitches. And I know the Braves had a couple weak hits to the right side, squibber-like hits, but guys like Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies They weren't being cheated with their swings. They were taking batting practice like swings. If you want to go back to look at Michael Harris swings, you don't really see guys take swings like that every single swing. So I don't know what was going on, but I'll tell you what. You saw a team today that was prepared and wanted to win, and a team to me that wasn't prepared. The Mets didn't look like they were prepared tonight. They didn't look like they were going out there ready to fight. They certainly did not. The Braves, on the other hand, look like they're ready to defend their home turf, and they were ready for a fight. The Mets didn't give a fight. We didn't even put up a fight. So that's where I'm just extremely frustrated. If it was a close game, with the Phillies, even when we lost against the Phillies in Philly, those two games, those were close games. Those were two close games. Today, I'm surprised it was only 5-1. Now it gets worse, going against Sale and Fried. So Pete the Koala and the rest better start hitting. Yeah, I mean, Pete acting like a koala bear. But, I'm not afraid of Fried. That's one thing. I'm not afraid of Fried. The Mets have had their games against Fried in the past. Sale is another story. But, the Mets, like I mentioned, have had their success against the upper echelon pitchers. Garrett Cole, he comes to mind. We pummeled him twice this game. We just have to make things difficult for Sale. We cannot make, if Sale has these 6, 7, 8 pitch innings, that isn't going to help us out. That's going to help nobody out. Even if he's on, you make the guy work. Battle, make the guy throw a lot of pitches. That is what we have to do. Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers are like, people are saying they're a tough opponent for us for two reasons. Number one, Milwaukee Brewers, they draw the third most walks out of any team. Only the Yankees and only the Dodgers draw more walks. So that's why people are saying it would be a tough opponent for us. And number two, they have the highest per plate, pitches that they take. I think per at bat, batters take 4.3 pitches, and that's supposedly, I think, top 1, top 2. So the Brewers take pitches. Today, that is what the Braves did. They adopted that philosophy and knocked out Severino in 4 innings. Stanek comes in, and, once I saw Stanek, the game essentially seems over. It seemed over. Put JD in the lineup. He's played in big games. You know what? JD's been not swinging the bat well at all. Obviously, he's been having swings that don't even look competitive, but for some reason, he's had a galvanizing effect. When he came to the Mets, it seemed like that's when the Mets started to play better. So his effect on the lineup, his effect on the team is almost an Iglesias effect. So I mean, I'm not that opposed to that. I'm really not. I'm not that opposed to that, especially if the lineup was reminiscent of today's lineup. We know it was very discombobulated. I want Vientos up. I would like Acuna to be moved up. Alvarez, I would like to be moved up. Bring Marte down to 8 or 9. I mean, that's not a bad idea. The lineup's going to look different tomorrow. It's JD's a righty. Chris Sale is a lefty. I mean, let's see what happens. I don't know what the career record JD Martinez has against Chris Sale. I don't know if he's got good batting numbers. I got to guess probably not. A lot of guys probably don't have good career numbers against a guy like Sale, but that's when you have to create opportunities for yourself. You have to play smart baseball. You have to advance runners. Ozzie Albies today in the 3rd inning, he had to hit the ball to the right side. And I believe Keith Hernandez said it when Albies had an RBI single to the right side. He said, it would be a smart baseball play if Albies goes to the right side. Next pitch, he hits a dribbler through the right side. That's what we have to do. Smart baseball. And working the count, advancing runners, making productive outs. That's all part of winning baseball. Today, we didn't play winning baseball. Crispy. My guy, my prediction is the Mets and the Braves will both make the playoffs, and the Mets may only need to go 2-3 to get in the way the D-backs are playing. So, yeah, I mean, the D-backs are playing crappy. They play the Padres in their last series of the year. So there is a high possibility that the Mets could only get only 2 wins and make the playoffs because of that. But honestly, I'd rather, like I mentioned early on, I'd rather slay the dragon, slay the beast, get this over with. Because the Braves, although they have good pitching, and the lineup is obviously not that bad, this is not the Braves of the past. It is not the Braves of the past. They're missing Acuna, they're missing Strider, and they're missing Riley. So they're missing three of their best players. So, obviously they've had their struggles too, or else they would be well established in the playoffs. So this is a team that we can beat. We absolutely can beat them. The Marlins beat them. The Reds beat the Braves. Let's have the Mets beat the Braves. Let's have us do the dirty work. We've been having other teams do the dirty work. This is the best opportunity that we've had. I've always said this is our safety net. Even if we were behind, we personally play the Braves. So let's take care of business and let's do what we should be doing. Let's beat the Braves ourselves. All right, let's face it. An injured Braves team is way better than a healthy Mets team. Conclusion: the Braves have a better organization. Well, let's hold the brakes there. We're not a healthy Mets team. We're missing our two best players. Sanga's not there. We know Sanga's not there, obviously. We know Lindor, our MVP. So you got your Cy Young Award winner not there, and you know you have your MVP not there. We have other tertiary players not there, like Jeff McNeil's not there. Blackburn, our fifth starter that we acquired, he's not there. So we got about 5 or 6 important guys not there as well. 2 of them is a Cy Young Award winner and an MVP. So I wouldn't go that far as to say we're healthy. Maybe they have a couple more top echelon guys, but Senga and Lindor, those two are all-star players, are in the category or in the conversation every single year. So I wouldn't go that far, but, the Braves have been established as a better organization. So that's, we could have concluded that before the season, after the season. The Mets are still in their growing process. But this year, I don't want to take away what we've done. We've done a lot of amazing things, and we're way further progressed, way further ahead than what anybody would have thought in the beginning of this year. So, I mean, let's not have one night really cloud everything. I know it's tough. I know we're all upset. I know I'm upset, but I don't want to lose perspective. One key thing. Remember when we had a 4-game series versus the Braves in July and we won the first 2 games, then lost the next 2? This Mets team can't finish the Braves. One very, very, very significant, important thing that obviously we all know happened in that series. Kodai Senga got hurt on Friday night. We secured a second win. And I think that was a gut punch. That was a gut punch a few days before the trade deadline. And, the team felt it. I think we really tailed off on that Saturday and that Sunday, but it really was a gut punch. We were waiting Senga to come back the entire year, comes back, does phenomenal. We actually passed the Braves in the standing. Then all of a sudden, you hear he's out for the remainder of the year. I mean, that was tough, and we overcame that. But for that specific time period, I think that Senga loss, and I don't want to make excuses, because it does show our mental toughness. You have to be able to get over things in the moment. But, that specific series, I think, was affected by the loss of Senga. I know I sound like I'm making a lot of excuses, but okay, Lindor isn't coming back. So, I said this earlier. So, based on the latest update about Lindor, him saying that if he comes back, he's going to play with pain. Here's the deal. If this was the regular season, Lindor, without a doubt, would have been shut down for 3 or 4 weeks until further evaluation. So you wouldn't even have a date on it, only because it's this point in the season and we're going into the playoffs that it's day to day. This man with his back issues should not be day to day. He shouldn't be day to day. He got the facet injection to speed things up, but if you're having back issues to the point where you can't bend down to tie your shoes and you're still having trouble bending over, I mean, you're the shortstop. You have to be damn flexible. You have to be the most mobile guy on the field. You have to have the most range, and he's saying, I don't want to put myself in there and hurt the team. So obviously right now he feels like he would hurt the team if he puts himself in there. So, I mean, through hopefully the injection, I don't know how that's supposed to work, but I'm assuming it's supposed to help with the pain. He's still feeling pain right now. He is still feeling pain, but you never know. We get to a situation where the Braves pull, they're tied with us. This guy tries to come back like a hero. That's not the situation I want. I would like to win these two games and give Lindor the option to stay out the next week or so until the end of the regular season. That's why these two games, in my opinion, are extremely pivotal. At the very least, give Lindor the option to remain on the sidelines. He's risking long-term issue, and I don't know what type of injuries he has, but he's a guy with a 7-year contract that we owe $250 million to. So you better be damn careful that there's going to be no structural issues or anything with his back will be jeopardized. And here's the deal: you can't do that, because if he's having back issues, he could tear a hammy, he could tear a quad. He's going to put strain on other parts of his body. That's the way the back works. If the back is not loose, if it's tight, it puts strain on other parts of the body. And that's why as soon as I heard this last week, I'm worried. Richard, you've had personal issues with the back. It's not good, for a professional athlete to feel this, especially late in the season. So I'm extremely worried. Yeah, explosive. Yeah, and we don't have Christian Scott. So we're not a healthy team. We're missing quite a few guys and two very top guys. A lot of things went right this season, though. What's the chances of all those things going right again next season? Mets have to make the playoffs. Don't blow this opportunity. I mean, you're absolutely right. Guy you pay $13 million, Sean Manaea, Cy Young Award candidate, right? He might be he's going to get some votes. And obviously the second half of this year is just out of this world this guy's had. You have an MVP year out of Lindor. Then you got a bunch of journeyman guy like Iglesias, guys out of the pen. Budo came out of nowhere. Vientos is having a great year. Alvarez is coming on right now. You have a bunch of guys just performing. Severino never makes this many starts. Yeah, Peterson, where the hell did Peterson come from? Peterson, besides the last two starts, he's having a great year. Magical McGill, he even showed up the last two outings. So you're having performance after performance, career year after career year. It is not typical. It's really not typical. I mean, we have a great culture. Guys are filling their roles to perfection. But, next year, I believe we're going to make some big free agent moves. I think we're going to get more talent in this team. So that's where I'm not so worried. I don't think we're going to be as reliant on as many journeyman people to have these career years. We're going to supplement that with guys who have more talent. Plus another year of development with that pitching lab. The pitching lab has been freaking phenomenal. I got to give credit. I don't even know how that all works, but they are developing, their pitchers in the minors and also the pitchers that we acquire. So I have to give them credit. Christian Scott, only thing I feel bad for the kid. Guy's going to be 27 years old by the time he comes back in 2026. So I wish that guy well. But other than that, everybody else, has really made a lot of strides. But it's hard to project like, every year you're going to have a Sean Manaea that you signed for $13 million. Every year you're going to find a Luis Severino. It's tough. It's really tough. What gives me hope is that, our pitching philosophy seems to be working team wide. I said before this season starts, the Mets were going to adopt a Tampa Bay Rays philosophy and strategy. That means they were going to take, guys who didn't have necessarily the best track record, but guys who did have talent or guys that they saw were turning the corner, and they were going to develop them into more productive pieces as they did with Manaea and as they did with other pitchers. Yeah, I think they did. They're shedding like $160 million in payroll. So, there's going to be decisions, questions like, are you going to bring back Alonso? Our pitching staff is going to be, really cut in half. You're going to have Peterson. You're going to have Kodai Senga. Besides that, we really don't have anybody signed for next year. Manaea's, he has an option. Severino has an option. You have McGill. So you have McGill. You have Peterson. You have Kodai Senga, God willing. Hopefully he'll be healthy. Any other starting pitchers you add, if they are of the talented ilk, are going to be expensive. So you could go, opt to sign another journeyman. We were talking earlier. I forgot who I was talking with, but I was asked, how much would I give a Sean Manaea? How much would I give? But, there's a couple questions to that because Sean Manaea is going to be 33 next year, right? This year, you could argue that Sean Manaea is putting up his best year ever. What has changed? Well, he's had an uptick in velocity, but the biggest change is he went from a guy who threw more overhead and three-quarters to now a guy who's throwing exclusively sidearm, right? So he's added velocity, and now he's throwing sidearm. So he's made some pretty big mechanical adjustments at a late age. So, that in itself, even though he's found ways to elevate his game, worry me. He's 33 years old, and he's made major mechanical adjustments, and he has an uptick in velocity. Guys like that sometimes could be a candidate for arm trouble. So the most I would give to a Sean Manaea is almost like a Sonny Gray contract. 3 years, $75 million, nothing more than 25 mil. Maybe if you want to go shorter than that with an option, I got to imagine he's going to get that on the open market. Somebody's going to give him that. A lefty who has been this dominant, but Stearns is going to be tough. He's going to value a guy at a certain price point, and he's not going to go above it. He's not going to be a prisoner of the moment. Remember one thing. David Stearns will not be a prisoner of the moment. He's not going to give Jose Iglesias a long-term contract because Iglesias had a bat at 330. He's not. He's going to say Iglesias is 35 next year. He's going to be 36 if on a 2-year deal. I'm not going to give him more than that. So Stearns is going to be very tough in free agency. I'm saying personally, I would give Manaea 3 years, $25 million. But the open market may dictate that he gets more. Much more. Yes, I forgot. Mr. Paul Blackburn. So yeah, Mr. Paul Blackburn, he does have another year left. So yeah, let's pencil him in because obviously we don't have enough starters to fill out the rotation. So you have McGill, you have Peterson, you have Blackburn, you have Senga. That's your rotation for next year. Not going to be acceptable. We're going to sign at least 2 or 3 pitchers. We're going to get 2 or 3 starters some way, some form, trade, free agent pickup. Next year, there will be guys. I mean, you have we got Manaea, we got Severino for very affordable contracts. There's always going to be pitchers that you can give them those prove-it deals, just like we gave Manaea, prove-it deal. 1-year contract, $15 million. We'll give you an option for the second. If the guy is successful, obviously he's going to, opt out and try to sign a longer-term deal. If not, the Mets, could lock the guy up or the player option, depending if it's a player or team option, they can get him for the 2-year deal. But there will be options available. Casey did a good job, but they may not make it either. Well, they're going to be playing the Braves next series, so that's going to be indicative of how they play against the Braves. And I'm not sure, what their wild card situation is, but At the end of the day, Mets need to take care of business. I'm tired of relying on other teams. I'm tired of relying on other teams to beat the Braves. This is our perfect opportunity. We're playing the Braves. Let's beat the damn Braves this series. Blake Snell plans to opt out and become a free agent. I really don't see Stern signing Blake Snell. If Blake Snell were to opt out, obviously he didn't get the contract that he was looking for last year. He didn't get that big long-term contract. I think if he opts out, he'd be looking for that long-term contract, something of which I don't think Stearns would do. I don't think he would be willing to give Blake Snell a long-term contract unless it's a value contract. Blake Snell wouldn't opt out for a value contract. So that's where I don't think would fit. Besides, you paid a guy like Manaea $13 million. Is Blake Snell a guy you would have to pay more than double that price tag? What is his production more than a guy that you got out of Manaea at less than half the price tag? I think a guy like Stearns thinks that he could duplicate that type of savings and that type of production from a guy who will take less money than a guy like Blake Snell. Plus, I don't think that they care for his attitude. Crispy. 3-2 will get the Mets in, even if they only win 1 out of 3 games against the Braves. Winning 2 out of 3 against the Brewers team that's resting all their regulars should be enough. And the funny thing is, I've been thinking about the Brewers series for a while now. Okay, 2 weeks ago, I looked at that series as the Brewers are going to have their hands up. They're going to rest a lot of the regulars. And I figured that it was going to be a pretty easy series. Now I'm thinking that, if the Brewers are playing the Mets in the first round, I'm not really sure the Brewers are going to roll over and give the Mets that type of momentum going into Milwaukee. And, you could say, hey, you know what? We're going to sit our regulars. We're not going to do our, in-game strategy. The Mets won't really play the real form of the Brewers. But I just think that, momentum and confidence playing an opponent is so important these days. We see it with the Braves. The Mets seem to lack confidence playing the Braves. Lack confidence. So if they have a good series against the Brewers, let's say they win 2 out of 3, win 3 out of 3, they're going to go into Milwaukee with a hell of a lot of confidence, in my opinion. Max Fried, free agent, and Kershaw. Those guys just it seems like Kershaw is never going to leave LA, Max Fried, he's a younger guy I'd be interested in, but he's going to command a lot of money. He's like the first, let me see I forget exactly who's a free agent, but he's got to be like a top 2, top 3 pitching candidate. I'm trying to see who would be next year's Sean Manaea. At least a guy we can sign for a reasonable contract, but he has potential to grow. And a guy like Severino too, a guy who was successful in the past, but obviously we were able to unlock a couple things that he was having trouble with. 2025. Okay, all right. So I forgot about this guy. I'm like, okay, Max Fried. Okay, so the 3 best pitchers that it's saying according to MLB.com, you have Corbin Burnes. Forgot about him. Corbin Burnes, Max Fried, and Blake Snell. So you have Max Fried as the second best pitcher in the offseason. Max Fried is, how old is he? Max Fried is 31. For some reason, I thought he was a lot younger. So the top 10 free agents on the offseason, it's saying obviously you've got Juan Soto on top, Corbin Burnes, Blake Snell, Alex Bregman, Max Fried, Anthony Santander, Pete Alonso, number 7, Willie Adames, shortstop, number 8, and number 9, Jack Flaherty, and number 10, Tanner Scott. So those are the projected 10 best free agents. And the bonus guy, Rory Sasaki. Yeah, all these guys are going to be like Juan Soto. He's going to be looking for like $500 million plus. Corbin Burns, he's going to be looking for 200 mil plus. Maybe even like I mean, he's 30 years old. Maybe maybe he's going to be looking for like a Garrett Cole like contract. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. Like Garrett Cole type money. Max Fried, he's 31. I mean, a lot of besides Juan Soto, a lot of the top free agents are over 30 years old. Oh, okay. Some other guys who are free agents. Oh, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, depending if guys opt out of the contracts. Garrett Cole, Juan Soto, Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldsmith, Teoscar Hernandez, Patrick Corbin, Robbie Ray, Alonzo Bregman, Charlie Morton, Anthony Rizzo, Lucas Giolito, Michael Conforto, Nathan Evaldi, Reese Hoskins, Josh Bell, Marcell Ozuna, Kenley Jensen, Frankie Montez, Michael Waka, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Ryan Presley, Mitch Haniger, Gleyber Torres, Jack Flaherty, Sean Manaea. There's a lot of good players. This is why the Mets didn't spend, focus on last year. There's a lot of good talent this year. A lot of good talent. Oh wow, this is funny. So there's this. If you click on market value for a guy like Max Scherzer, according to market value, if you sign him, it's saying his market value should be 1 year and $14 million for a guy like Max Scherzer. Let me see. Let me see what they say Juan Soto's market value is. Ramon, hello. What's going on? Hopefully you're having a good night. We've been venting. We've been venting a little, feeling a little better because we're talking about next year. But the most important thing is we have an opportunity right now in front of us. Win these next 2 games. And also, if we don't win these 2 games, there are a multitude of avenues for our New York Mets to still make the playoffs. So all hope wouldn't be lost if we lose 2 out of 3. In fact, if we lose 2 out of 3, we're still 1 game up on the Braves. And the D-backs, they got killed tonight, and they got to play the Padres the last series of the year. I mean, if the Mets find a way to blow this, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it. Let's just make the playoffs. Oh, Crispy, what a question. The White Sox had a huge come from behind win tonight. How likely is it, do you think, they go 5-0 and refuse to break the Mets record? Just as one last Mets moment for this season. Honestly, for the Mets, I would say it's highly likely they don't lose. It seemed like that's a Mets record that, it's been lived on for many years now. I can't imagine that would be broken. But we'll see what happens. It seems highly unlikely they go 5-0, but if it's a Mets bad record that's on the books, I could see the White Sox winning. Oh my God, is Noah Syndergaard out of baseball? Noah Syndergaard, he's out of baseball this year, right? I mean, he said he wants to come back to the Mets in 2025. Honestly, I wouldn't want Syndergaard anywhere close to the Mets. Maybe out of a bullpen role, but obviously, we'd have to see where he is at his career. But I felt like years ago he shunned the Mets. I felt like he shunned us, and he kind of closed the door. Like, we still wanted him years ago. We still wanted him, but it felt like he wanted no part of us. It felt like he wanted no part of us. Ramon, good question. Great question. Why did Severino start today's game? Last time Quintana pitched was September 18th and Severino September 18th. Quintana is pitching way better than Severino. Another blow for Mendoza again. You know, Quintana is actually, despite pitching really well in the last 5 games, I really don't think Quintana is getting the respect that he deserves. He's a different type of pitcher than Severino. Severino's a guy who can gas it up to 98 miles per hour. He's got a repertoire of about 5 or 6 pitches. Quintana relies a lot more on location and movement. If he's not locating, we might be in for a blowout, or a team scoring 4 or 5 runs. But Quintana is pitching really, really well. So that is a good question. He may be looking at matchup analytics. They look at a whole bunch of crap and numbers. But if old school guys would say, "Hey, let's go with the hot hand," and Quintana is the hot hand, So that's a really fair question. It's really a fair question. I would say analytics, numbers is probably what's dictating a lot of these moves at this point. I mean, the lineup today, I didn't understand that. I really didn't understand that. So they definitely had to be looking at some type of analytics that told them they were doing a good job tonight. Julio Urias is still a free agent. Yeah, I remember I was speaking about this last year. I mean, it looks like he's going to stay a free agent. I'm not sure what his situation is. His domestic situation. I don't know. There's something going on there where all MLB teams have stayed away, just like Trevor Bauer. I would imagine MLB right now put out an edict about certain domestic situations that teams aren't touching guys. Teams aren't touching guys for certain reasons anymore. And Julio Urias, despite being a talent, I think teams are going to stay away. Teams are going to stay away. And I don't know the details about that. I just know that teams no team has bid on that situation. Okay, then if that's the case, then teams are definitely going to stay away. Like any type of domestic situation, MLB has put out a no tolerance edict, and teams don't want that type of bad publicity, and I don't blame them. I really don't. If a guy's hitting his wife, I mean that's horrible. That's horrible. I wouldn't. Guys don't. They don't really deserve to be treated like professionals if they're acting like that. I mean, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be in the major leagues right now. Trevor Bauer, he's got a more complex situation. I'm not going to pretend to know all the details, but he's been out of baseball for quite some time now. A lot of teams could have used an arm like Trevor Bauer. Now, does anybody know when, this game on Thursday would be played? I heard possibly there would be a double header tomorrow, but that doesn't look like it's going to be. So if we don't play the game on Thursday, um, I mean, obviously we play the Brewers over the weekend, so that would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So probably going to be Monday. Look at the schedule, Mets schedule. Yeah, so they play the Brewers Friday, Saturday, Sunday, obviously. So if they don't play that game on Thursday, I'm guessing would have to be on Monday. Guessing would have to be on Monday. Yeah, Robbie. Tough game today. Tough game. Big, big egg tonight. At the end of the day, one game, one game. A lot of bad stuff. We came out with no energy. Not a good day. Not a good day. But this is where we still have an opportunity. We still have an opportunity. We know how it feels tonight. We're one game ahead, win two games, and we're in. And I want to win those two games in the worst way because I want to take the pressure off these guys. That last series in Milwaukee, yeah, try to win, but still, we've been playing like it's a game seven mentality for the last month, 5 weeks. I want to give these guys a little bit of a mental break, Obviously, don't take your foot off the pedal. Guys like Vientos, Alvarez, the younger kids, they're still going to be giving it their all. But, it's good to have that little mental break. That's why when we were playing the Phillies the other day and we were getting, it wasn't the best game. We started getting blown out, and obviously Mendoza went to the bullpen in the fourth inning. I think it was the fourth inning. I wasn't so crazy about that. I didn't go nuts because I'm like, okay, I can understand. You need a breather. We went on to win game 3 and game 4 of that series. And that's what I think that mental break was designed to do. Give everybody a chance to refresh. See, Robbie, it's almost like you were here. I don't know if you just got here, but that was the number one thing I complained about, the lineup. Why is your best player batting 9? Why is Alvarez, who's been hitting, why is he batting 7? Why is Vientos batting 6th? Why is Marte batting 3rd? And then you've got guys like Nimmo and Alonso, guys who should be hitting. Why are they playing like crap? Why are they not hitting? So there's a lot of questions. Lindor, I suppose what they're trying to do is they're trying to see if they can clinch this thing and not involve Lindor. If they can clinch this, win these 2 games, hopefully he has another week to rest. Hopefully he can feel a little better, because here's the thing. If he's got pain and he's compensating in any way, he could tear a hamstring. He could pull other muscles around his body. Even if the back pain is tolerable, to me, that's still worrisome. He's still going to be compensating as a major league shortstop because, this is pain he's apparently playing with that he hasn't had before. It's not like, oh, he's a guy who's always dealt with back issues. He hasn't dealt with back issues, at least from what I've read, I've seen. It seemed like this is a new issue. Ramon, I really don't want to see Alonso next year. It seemed like the fan base has gone through a major transition this year. And I'll give the fan base a lot of credit. We got to give ourselves a lot of credit because I believe most Mets fans don't think Pete is going to be back next year. Don't think. So the round of applause that Pete got this weekend was very classy. I love to see that. Give the guy a good send-off. I don't think he's going to be back, but I think it's going to be more because of Pete. I think he's going to command a high dollar contract. He already turned down a 7-year, $156 million contract, which is more than fair, more than his what he's valued at. He turned that down. If he really wanted to be a Met, he would have taken that contract. So, I think he's going to be looking to at least beat that contract. A guy like Scott Boras, he wants to say, hey, Pete, look, I got you more money. not the same amount of money he could have got without Boris. So Boris, in my opinion, is going to be looking to beat that contract. At the very least, he'll look for that 1 year. He'll make $30 million. It'll be a prove it contract. That's the only way kind of I could see maybe Pete coming back if it's on a 1 year prove it deal. But any long term deal, I don't see Stern saying, "Hey, Pete, here's close to $200 million." If he decides to come down in price, then we'll talk. But Pete's not worth that money. He's really not. He's going to be 30 years old, and his production already dipped this year. Would it surprise me if next year he hits under 30 home runs? He has 30 home runs this year. If he hits 28, 29 next year, it wouldn't surprise me. The proof is in the pudding. I see the proof right in front of me. He's striking out more than ever. He's leaving runners. He's leaving small nations on base. His slugging went down this year. His OPS went down this year. His average has always been low. He's career 250. He's at batting average this year is 240. So that's about average. But the slugging, the OPS, the home runs, the RBIs, everything is low. So that's on a downward trajectory. If he does lower or has a worse year than this year, I wouldn't be surprised. If I'm Pete and I want that big mega contract, I say, hey, some team out there, give me close to $30 million, 1 year deal, and I'll prove my worth. Just like, what's his name? Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman did it to perfection. Perfection. That's what you got to do. I want to trade with Oakland for Rooker. Yeah, I think it's Brent Rooker. Yeah, I mean, Rooker's come on as of late, the last year or two. I mean, he's been a guy that's really come on the radar. Then, all these trades really, it seems whatever. How does Oakland? They're a team that wants to get prospects, right? So, what is going to be the value? I don't know. Rooker, I believe, plays the outfield. I might be a guy that before I give up my prospects, I might want to see, how good is Acuna going to be? How good is Drew Gilbert going to be? How good is Jet Williams going to be? We have a bunch of offensive players right now on the cusp of coming up. So I'd want to see these players before I go out and deal for, another outfielder. Send Pete to Texas for another first round draft pick. Well, I mean, I believe if Pete signed, you're going to get a compensation pick. It depends if we yeah, you're going to get some. I don't know what the compensation pick is going to be, but you're going to get some type of compensation pick. Yeah, and big point, you can't trade him right now. I mean, I think Iglesias is doing a great job at the leadoff spot, but I definitely wouldn't mind putting Acuna number 2. I definitely wouldn't mind putting Acuna number 2, Vientos number 3. If you want Alonso's number 4, I'll suffer through that. But this lineup has to change. Or you know what? Excuse me. This is what I would do. Just not even putting much thought into this. So if I screw this up, I put Iglesias number 1. I put Acuna number 2. I put Nimmo number 3. Alonso number 4. Vientos number 5. Alvarez number 6. Taylor number 7. I'd build a lineup around my best players. I wouldn't have my best players hanging at the end of the lineup. He's separated by guys like, Winker, who are not, they're not hot. These guys haven't had much success. So, the lineup construction today was frankly very poor. Very poor. Well, I mean, Carlos Mendoza has an infatuation with putting Pete Alonso number 4 for some reason. So, as much as I would want Pete Alonso to go down to 5, 6, or possibly 7, Mendoza is attached to putting this guy in the number 4 spot. I agree. A long time ago, Alonso, I would have dropped. I don't understand. The one question I don't understand, Pete Alonso, I believe, he was only dropped 1 game, 1 or 2 games. He was dropped in the lineup. That made no sense to me. That made no sense. Yeah, that's a good point. That infatuation is a long vacation coming, and there's just certain moves that he's just without a doubt going to do the same thing over and over. Right now, like not it feels like 90% of major league teams would have moved Acuna out of the ninth spot. You got a guy in the last 2 weeks, one of the hottest hitters in baseball, right? It's I know it's hard to say. You bring a guy up for the minors. How can he be one of your hottest hitters? But he has been. He's come up and he's had one of the best starts in quite some time. Quite some time. And then you see Alvarez swinging the best bat that Alvarez has swung probably this whole year in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And you have Alvarez batting seventh, and you have Acuna batting ninth, and you have Alonso batting fourth. Does this make sense to most people? No, but this is what we've been doing. And then you can argue about Quintana. Quintana's been switched out a couple times. We've skipped over him. So that's also another thing. And this is his hottest stretch in quite some time as well. Then last week against the Phillies, you have Ottavino coming in the fourth inning. In a very big, important game, and I know that game we kind of rested, but still it was close. In a 4-2 game, you bring in your worst pitcher, Ottavino. All right. It's so funny, So I'm on X right now, right? So I two tweets back to back. One goes Braves whip the Mets in series opener, and the very next tweet goes the Mets team will make the playoffs. Don't let one game fool you. So those are two opposite tweets. Obviously, we did get we it was a really embarrassing game today, but we got a little time to turn this around. A little time to turn this around. Can the Mets do this? Can we do this? Can we essentially seal the deal, finish what we started? Finish what we started. Carlos Mendoza, before the game today, said he's looking forward to this series with the Braves. Why? Because this is a different team than teams past. This is way different. We have different players. We have a different culture. We have a different manager. We have a different president. This is different. So we were, supposedly going into the Braves series and things would be different. No. For one day, things were like they always were. So the Mets have the biggest challenge. Change the storyline. Change the perspective that we have right now, that MLB has. For some reason, that the Mets and the Braves always come out victorious. That has to change, and it has to change now. Because my goal, I always say, our goal is to win the World Series. I want to win the World Series. I don't just want to make the playoffs. I don't want to just make the playoffs. I want to win the World Series. And, we're going to have a lot of fun this year. The Dodgers, their starting rotation is beatable right now. Besides Yamamoto, Jack Flaherty, their pitching rotation is very questionable. Their hitters, obviously, you got Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. Pick your poison there. But our offense is potent too when they step up. But that might be more or less a slugfest. But I'm willing to say, Dodgers isn't a team like the Braves. For some reason, we play better against, teams like that. So I'd be excited to go into that series. If I see the same lineup tomorrow, I'm turning off the TV and check on the score at 10 p.m. You know what, Robbie? That's actually a good point. When I saw the lineup today, right from the very first inning, when Swellenbach literally threw 7 pitches against our lineup, 7 pitches. You would think that we would work the pitcher a little more than that. 7 pitchers, and I'm like, where's Vientos? Is Acuna still batting ninth? And I'm like looking at the lineup, and I don't get it. So I mean, I can understand the frustration if they don't change and adjust things. But tomorrow's going to be a bit tougher. If we had this outing tonight against Sale, I'd be like, all right, it's game one, it's against Sale. But knowing Sale's pitching tomorrow, tonight was very underwhelming. Yeah. All right, folks. We're gonna get going now, or at least I'm gonna get going. I got work 7 o'clock in the morning, so I gotta get to bed. But thank you everybody for everything, comments, stopping by, hanging out, even for the rough time. If you could on your way out, I appreciate the company. I really do. Hopefully tomorrow we got a better game, and we'll go from there because I like a win before the hurricane. I don't want to have a 2-game loss, having known we lost the series. If we find out how we win tomorrow, that would be so monumental. So monumental. Yep, no problem. Robbie, awesome for you to be here as well. All right, everyone, have a great night. Richard, Explosive, Crispy, Ramon, Juan, everybody who's joined us tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you, and have yourself a great night as well.